All right, all right. What's happening? Brian Edwards, MajorWager.com. Let's talk some football, mostly NFL, divisional round, but let's knock a few coaching nuggets out of the way. Matt Rule has left Baylor. He is the new head coach of the Carolina Panthers. 7 years, $60 million. According to Ian Rappaport, he had been scheduled to meet with the Giants and called them and let them know that they could match the offer from the Panthers, and they declined, and they hired Joe Judge, who I had never flipping heard of until a few days ago. Judge had an offer from Mississippi State. He's an alum at Mississippi State. He had spent some time on Saban's staff, I believe, from 09 to 11. And has been with the Patriots for quite a few years. I think he went straight from Bama to the Patriots. He might have had a grad assistant or cup of coffee at Mississippi State post playing career. But anyhow, so the Giants have a new coach. His name is Joe Judge, special teams coordinator for the Patriots last few years, and he has already requested. The Cowboys have fired Jason Garrett and hired Mike McCarthy, but I guess, or just what I read on Twitter, I don't know if it was Rappaport or someone else, but Garrett's still under contract with Dallas till the 14th for some reason, and so excuse me. Joe Judge had to request permission from the Gals to interview Jason Garrett to be his OC, which is of great interest to me since my man Caden Smith established himself as a stud for the Giants moving forward, even with Evan Ingram. If the Giants don't move on from Evan Ingram, I think he's got 1 year left on his contract, if I'm not mistaken. Ingram, that is. Okay, so Baylor. You know what? I haven't even really given much thought to their candidates. Let me quickly update you on Mississippi State. A lot of traction with Todd Grantham, which obviously I don't want to happen because he's a solid DC for the Gators. Like I wrote in my article about when Mississippi State divorced from or pink slipped Joe Moorhead. You know, Grantham's a big time hothead. I mean, he was just flipping birds to the Virginia sidelines at the Orange Bowl last week on national television. And an MF bomb was at the end of, was very easily lip read, if you will. So I'm just concerned he's going to take an assistant or two of the Gators with him as well. And then we'll be in the DC search. Charlie Strong? I don't think Charlie's got a job yet. Mullen and Strong did work together at Florida under Oscar. So the only team without a coach is the Cleveland Browns. Oscar works for me. Maybe McDaniels, especially with potentially Brady not being there anymore, which is complete speculation on my part. But it will be very, very interesting to see, especially with Tua now going to the draft. You know, you've got, I think the Chargers pick 6th. You got Rivers, and I think Rivers has 1 more year left on his contract. And, oh gosh, where was I going with that? Brees. Of all the older quarterbacks, and we've got, I mean, even Eli hasn't even said if so. Eli, Rivers, Brees, Brady. Of all those guys, I think. Well, first off, Brees and Brady are the best of the two, always and forever, and I think they have the best football left in them. Rivers threw a lot of picks this year, but I could see Rivers still having a decent year or two. I mean, maybe. I mean, Eli didn't play too bad in those 2 games. I mean, Yeah, I mean, Eli's the worst of the four. Eli needs to retire. I mean, I just don't see anybody giving him a starting gig. Um, so we shall see. But I think Brees definitely has got at least one good year left in him. And I thought Zimmer just completely outcoached Peyton the other day. And what in the world? I mean, I love Teddy Bridgewater, but what on earth was he thinking? I mean, obviously that fumble return did not count, didn't matter. What is he doing on the field running for 20 yards? I mean, that could have easily been penalized or even maybe even challenged or reviewed, where every touchdown is reviewed. If an extra player is literally on the field, what was Teddy Bridgewater thinking? What an unfathomable mental meltdown that could have cost the Saints. I mean, if they lose the guy, man, that fan base. And look, I'm a Falcons fan. And so now, before I moved here, Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, 5 hours east of New Orleans, where a lot of Louisiana people moved after Katrina and stayed, and just a lot of people from Louisiana are in this area or have had second homes in this area, visit this area, etc. There are a ton of Saints fans here, and I'm a lifelong Falcons fan. You know, until I moved here, I didn't realize how much the Saints fans hate the Falcons. And so because of that, I kind of hate them right back. But but I've known Melanie Loomis for more than a decade, so I do kind of root for New Orleans in a sort of little bit of a way, just because of that. And I have some good friends that are Saints fans when the Falcons aren't in it. Let me be abundantly clear on that. But I don't like Sean Payton at all, and so I gladly point out that he got out coached the other day, and that poor fan base, man. Whew, man, but this is the least controversial or heartbreaking, just in terms of the offensive interference potentially. I just don't think you can reverse that. They haven't been reversing interferences all year. You're not going to reverse that. And there was hand fighting going on both sides. Um, Now last year they got robbed now they don't definitely win that game, and everybody forgets how Jared Goff got the face mask on the possession before when the Rams had to settle for a field goal. When if he gets that face mask, it's first and goal at the 1, and and then the interference that New Orleans didn't get, they would have needed. I'm trying to forget the score. I think because the Rams got a field goal, it was tied. But if they got 4 points extra, they'd have been up by 4. And so then a field goal wasn't going to win for the Saints. So, but, everybody forgets that. The biggest heartbreaker of all those games, though, was the one, or no, I'm sorry, God, they've had so many heartbreakers. No, the biggest one was in Minnesota, but the one that was the most thrilling was the one out in San Francisco. That was 5-6 years ago. Maybe it was 7 years ago. That one, it was like 3 or 4 lead changes in the last 2.5 minutes. It was insane. Maybe even, and then I think both teams might have scored 3 touchdowns in the last like 7 or 8 minutes. That game was insane. That was the NFC tie. Maybe it was NFC semifinals. I'm not sure, but anywho. Okay. Moving on to this week. All right, we got Minnesota at San Francisco. Most books have it -7. Kirk Cousins against Drew Brees. I thought you had to go with Drew Brees and the Saints there. Now, I wouldn't have laid more than 7. I had bought it to 7 from 7.5 early in the week, and big fat L for me. And then Tannehill against Brady. You had to go Brady there, right? I mean, the struggles they had been having were clear, were evident. But, Bill Belichick game plan, playoffs. But, man, Derrick Henry. 34 workmanlike carries, 182 yards, 1 touchdown. And I like the Titans this week. And I haven't looked at the weather at Arrowhead, but if the weather's snow and crazy, whatever, wind or precipitation of any sort, all that is advantage Titans. They're the ones that love to pound the running game with D. Henry, who led the NFL in rushing yards with 1,540 during the regular season. So any potential weather conditions in Arrowhead advantage Titans. Um, by the way, Seattle at Green Bay is the late game Sunday, and weather.com, or at least as of yesterday. Oh, by the way, I'm coming to you Tuesday at about 4 o'clock Eastern. Weather.com yesterday said winds will be 5 to 10 miles an hour, 40% chance of snow showers in Green Bay Sunday night, mid 20s, which is pretty mild considering some of the playoff. Obviously, the Ice Bowl before many of us were born, including me. But the one I always remember is the Tom Coughlin game when Tom Coughlin's face was so what was it? Reddish, pinkish, weird looking. In that that was the Favre threw that interception to the LSU product, whose name eludes me at the moment. Okay, so now if there's an advantage or a disadvantage in terms of the scheduling this week, it's disadvantage Minnesota. They played Sunday in New Orleans. Now they have to go out west on Saturday, 2,000 miles from Minnesota to San Fran. Short week for them. San Fran off the bye. But man, Minnesota looked really, really good the other day. It is hard to not lean their way, certainly with the number inching up from 6.5 to 7 in the last 24 hours or so. Tennessee at Baltimore, that's the Saturday night game. Baltimore's 9.5. Baltimore's nasty, Lamar Jackson, but I got to lean to Tennessee getting all those points. Derrick Henry, man, and Tannehill's playing out of his mind. That total is 47. I haven't looked at the weather in Baltimore. I don't think I did, or I'm not remembering it. But the over's on a roll for the Titans. Not last week, but let's see. I think it's still. Oh yeah, here it is. The over's on a 9-2 run for the Titans, and the over's 9-7 overall for the Ravens. But the Ravens have seen the under go 3-1 in their last 4 games that had a total higher than 48. Okay, so that total has come down, right? Let's see. So when it was 48 yesterday. Now it's down to 47. Good. Keep going down. Go down some more. The total has dripped down a touch on San Fran, Minnesota. When I wrote my column, by the way, so NFL Divisional Round primer on MajorWager.com. Check it out. When I wrote it yesterday, the total was 45.5. That was like late morning yesterday. Now that total is 44.5 at the Westgate, 45 at a few other spots. Okay, Houston at Kansas City. Kansas City's 9.5. 10. KC already won at Houston. Houston already won at KC earlier this year. They already won outright there. So I got to lean to Houston, although their defense concerns me a little bit. Man, I can't believe Buffalo lost that game last week. It was a push for me at +3. But, man, they should have won that football game, man. Unreal. Texans might get Will Fuller back, which would be a pretty big deal. Not a whole lot of injury developments among the 8 teams, other than some Seattle's got some O-line guys that are questionable, and that's an O-line group that already suffered some season-ending injuries earlier in the year. In terms of quarterbacks left with Super Bowl experience, we've only got 2 guys left, and one of them is going to eliminate the other this week that's won a Super Bowl, that being Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers with 1 apiece as winning. Russell's been to another and threw a costly pick at crunch time, but most, including me, think you should blame Pete Carroll and or the OC at that time. which I don't know who was that at OC at that time. The unders cashed at a 7-3 clip in Houston's last 10 games. The under is 5-1 in Kansas City's last 6. That total is 51. Seattle, they go east. I'm presuming they didn't stay east this week. Surely that would have been in the news and we would know that. But it's just unbelievable the way they've been road warriors. Not just this year, really the last 3 or 4 years. So Seattle has played in the Eastern time zone this year 6 times. 6-0 straight up, 4-1-1 against the spread. That's ridiculous. And I mean, obviously the Philadelphia game last week was not an early game. And I'm not sure how many of the, I'd have to go back and look to see how many were, 1 o'clock Eastern kicks, which is a 10 a.m. body clock time for Seattle players. Just amazing the way they've done that. Head coaching advantage, I give to Seattle with Carroll over LaFleur, and QB advantage is a tough call, but I got to give it to A-Raj. Let's see. What else? I had some like underdog stats and whatnot for some of these teams. Let's see here. All right, Tannehill, 16-2 TDI and T ratio in the Titans' last 8 games. Pretty good. San Fran, 5-2 straight up at home, but only 3-4 against the spread. No, that's a single-digit home favorite. The over's on a 7-2-1 run for the 49ers. Again, that total is 44.5 or 45. Baltimore's on a 9-1 against the spread run. They bring a 12-game winning streak into the playoffs. They've won 8 of those games by double-digit margins. Let's see. There was some underdog. Oh, yeah, Minnesota, or the underdog numbers I was going to give you. So the Vikings are 5-4, both straight up and against the spread in 9 road assignments. They're 2-2 straight up and against the spread in 4 games as road underdogs. The over's on an 8-4 run for Minnesota. Yeah, that over is maybe a look on that Minnesota San Fran game. Nothing fluky about Minnesota's win, man. 2 turnovers by Drew Brees. Turnover-free football from Kirk Cousins. Who saw that coming? And perfectly placed deep ball to Adam Thielen on the game-winning drive, and then just a perfect pass to Rudolph in the corner to game, set, match, season. You're done. Beat it, Saints, Aints, Hoodats. And Dalvin Cook was a lot healthier than I thought. Yeah, so I haven't played any games yet. I'm leaning Minnesota. Maybe some interest in the over there. Not unless 45 is a key number on a total. So I won't do it if it goes north of 45. Tennessee, Baltimore. I lean Tennessee, but I mean, I probably want to have it at 10 or at least 9.5. Buying it to 10. I'm going to lean Houston. It'd be nice if they got Fuller back. And I think I like Green Bay, even though Seattle is road warriors, man. That's a lot of travel. A-Raj and company have had, the off week. Wish it would go down to 3, though. We'll see. All right, so what else on the coaching front? We'll see what Mississippi State does. We'll see what Baylor does. I think that Matt Rule's going to take his DC Phil Snow with him to the Panthers. And there we go. Good luck, bets and ball games. Coaching Carousel has now filtered into the college game with Matt Rule going to Carolina. So does a domino fall? Does Baylor get a sitting head coach and we get another opening? Um, we don't know in Mississippi State. A lot of Grantham talk. Um, you know, they could do a lot worse than Luke Fickle. I know that. Judge is out now. Does Napier? He had a ball game last night. Does he get back into the mix? I just don't want him to get Grantham. All right, folks. Good luck with your bets on the NFL on BrianEdwardsMajorWager.com. Thanks for joining us. Over and out.